And good evening, and welcome. I am Richard the Razor Ewing. This is GameFace. We do this show on the Bleav Talent Network. If you are trying to find out which foot powder will work on the stink of the feet in your shoes, you are on the wrong podcast. If you are trying to figure out how to line up your cornrows in your hair to fit your afro, you are on the wrong podcast. However, if you're trying to get insight into Bay Area sports, and if you're trying to get insight to sports on a national level, you just put your game face on. As I said before, I am Richard the Razor Ewing. We do this on Monday evenings. Unfortunately, I'm not with my wingman and co-host Mike the Shoe Schumann this evening. So I was kind of flying by the seat of my pants, and I needed somebody to bail me out. And what better person to bail me out than the great Bonta Hill from 95.7 The Game. Bonta, how you doing?
Man, I'm good, Rich. How you doing tonight?
Oh, man, I'm good. As you know, Shu couldn't be with us. He had some family things he had to deal with. So we are basically just you and I tonight. And why don't we
Let's do it.
go ahead and get started. So how's the new lineup for you? So I understand you're switched. You're not with BS&G anymore.
Nah, yeah, no more BS and G, man. I think it's what SD and G now, or SG and D, whatever they want to say, with Dibs in the midday. So I'm rolling with Shasky and Kate Scott in the mornings, and obviously Shasky and I have done the 49ers pre and post game on 95.7 The Game for a couple years now, and had a lot of success with that pre and post game show where the numbers really dominated the airways. You know, when we're on for the 49ers pre and post, people have started to come to us with that. So kind of parlayed that, and the morning show, here we are, waking up at 4 in the morning, getting off at 10 a.m., taking that nice midday nap, and going to bed about 8:30, 9 o'clock. So it's fun, man. Kate Scott's a total pro. I mean, she is phenomenal. She is on top of everything. She does her research. She works hard. Shasky's got all the energy in the world, knows the San Francisco sporting scene inside and out. He's like my little brother. He's scrappy, too. He's the fan. I'm the freaking media member, so it's a lot of fun, man. I'm enjoying this lineup so far, 6 shows in, and it feels like we've been doing it for about half a year.
Yeah, and to basically move along on to another part of the NFL. As we know, the NFL season is in full swing, and we might not be at the game this year because of the whole COVID-19 thing. But you could still be in on the action at Bet Online. So it doesn't matter, I know it's a lot of people like to bet. Unfortunately, I'm scared. I'm not the person that does bet. But Bet Online does give you from game spreads and totals to team players and coaching props. Bet Online gives you more options to wager than any place online. And there's always an online casino, and it never closes. Okay. So head to betonline.ag today and take advantage of all the great sign-up bonuses. Again, that's BetOnline AG. Sign up today. So you talked about switching and going with Kate Scott and Shasky, and I like I said, I listen to 95.7 The Game. I do. You guys, I listen to it periodically because in my profession, I'm out in the field a lot and I'm driving. So matter of fact, it's really the focal point of what I do every day. So probably I would say almost 8 hours a day. That's what I do. I drive. So I'm on I'm listening to radio. I listen to you guys, and I've been listening to 95.7 The Game. I listen to all three lineups, and I seen the switch come, and I was like, "Wow, man! I wonder what that's got to be like." Because you were on BS&G for the longest, and I gotta ask you, man, are you kind of missing BS&G a little bit?
Man, it's funny, right? So Papa goes to KBR, right?
Right.
And it's a big shakeup, and I go join Guru and Steiny, which I was excited about because they would lead into the Papa show. And I'm like, I would mess around with Guru before the show all the time. And he'd be like, man, if we did a show, and obviously with Papa, he's yapping. And I'm thinking, man, we don't have a lot of fan interaction. I kind of missed that about sports talk radio. I came up with Marty Lurie where he's taking phone calls all day long. That's what sports talk radio is about.
Right.
So, we join Steiny and Goo, and we get rolling pretty quickly. We get rolling pretty quickly. And you know what? It was about a year. We did a year, which felt like we did it longer than that, man. We had a lot of fun, but pandemic hits. We started remotely. And I kind of smelled something in the air in terms of just the lineup shaking up. You never know what's going to happen, right? You never know what's going to happen once the Joe Ford ball departs, and you see what's going on there. So, No, the opportunity I was asked, hey, morning drive, it's Joe Shasky, the Butcher Boy, Kate Scott, and I'm like, let's go. You know what I'm saying? Because Shasky and I, we had that city connection. We got a vibe and a chemistry that I don't think could be matched, by a lot of people out here in the Bay Area, not to toot our own horns or whatnot, but it's just, we did that 49ers pre and post game, man, and it was like, boom, this is what I'm talking about here. We know the Niners inside and out. We know the Giants inside and out. We know the Warriors inside and out. So that was fun. And then, just having somebody like Kate Scott. Look, I think this market, Rich, was dying for a female voice on the airways. And, Gianna was great. Anna Kagarakis was great. But you needed some of that. You needed a female to really say, you know what, I could drive a show. I could talk about everything. I could check dudes. I know how to take calls. And Kate Scott, man, I know her from back in KBR. She was a total pro. She got the Pac-12 gig. And, you see what she did over there with the Pac-12. She called some hockey games on NBC, national hockey games. So Kate Scott's a big timer, man. And so just when we were doing our dry runs, I was thinking, man, this is going to work. This is going to work because, it's three people without any egos. We just want to have fun, Rich, like you're doing here tonight. We just want to have fun on the airways. You know what I'm saying? It's like we're getting paid to do this. I would be doing this regardless. I would be you, Rich. If I was in a truck, if I was at the grocery store, I'd have an earbud in, getting my fix of sports talk radio all day long. So the fact that we get to do this, it set the tone for the day. For everybody out there on the airway or on the roadways, I should say, at 6 a.m., we get to set the tone Monday through Friday and start off the day, man. It's really a blessing. So it kind of came out of nowhere, kind of came out of left field because, like you said, BSG, yeah, Guru's my guy, man. We had a good vibe, man. We had a good vibe on that midday show. We're rolling.
That show, not only that, but you guys, and I was just glad to be a part of it, but you guys had a character role of individuals who would call in. I mean, it was Robin, okay. Mm-hmm. There was Steel Reserve, okay. Yep. There was Coach
Jonathan in San Francisco, Coach.
Right, Coach. Yeah. I mean, and
Juice.
right. And I became one of them, Rich Fremont.
No doubt.
And it was just like, every afternoon you kind of knew, okay, look, okay. And after I got off, I'd hear Coach P come on. I'd be like, oh, okay, here we go. This is gonna be good,
Right.
And so yeah, there was no question. You guys definitely had chemistry. You were definitely waking up the ears in the afternoon. Mm-hmm. And I tell you something, the afternoon was the best time to call because for the most part, there wasn't an overload of calls coming in. So it's like if you called at that time, in most cases, I would say probably 70% of the time you got in. I mean, so and that's the reason why when they switched, I was like, wow, I wonder how this has got to be, affecting Bonta right now, because Bonta is a big part of that. Right. And I tell you something, Bonta, the other thing that I was actually impressed with you was that, because you guys had, what was it, Jockberty?
Jockberty, yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
right.
Yeah,
now that was, for those watching who don't know, Jockberty was something that 95.7 The Game and the producers in the BSG afternoon that they started, which was a play on Jeopardy, but it was all the categories were related to sports. And I'll tell you something, I would listen to those, and when you guys first started doing this, I thought, okay, well, you know what? Steinmetz is probably going to be the guy, right? Because he's the oldest one there. He's been, talking sports, for a long time.
Right.
But by the time it was over, I was like, man, Bonta actually knows.
You
were winning a lot of those.
Yeah. What's funny, man, I think people, when I first joined Papa, people were like, who the hell is this kid? Because I didn't get a lot of run at KMPR. Right. The reps I did get, I made the most of them. Right. And I think people all of a sudden were like, this guy's talking baseball with Marty Lurie. He's like the encyclopedia when it comes to baseball stats. He knows everything. And so Marty and I would talk. And when Marty and I hooked up, midway through our first run, we worked together for 2 years on the Giants pre and post game show on the weekends. Mm-hmm. Halfway through the first year, Marty was like, hey, Bonta, turn on the microphone. You know your baseball. So, I think people underestimate me being a youngster, being only 38 years old and growing up in this market. I had a newspaper in my hand every single day from the age of 8 on. Like, I didn't have cable television. I had newspapers. We go to the library. I'm grabbing an almanac. I'm seeing who the hell won the 1975 NBA championship or who won the 1980 Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? So I've studied this stuff and just random, like we've all had nights where we just go down a rabbit hole, right? We go down Pro Football Reference. And you're like, man, Terrell Davis really had 3 amazing years with the Broncos, right? Or you look back at Barry Bonds' baseball card, you're like, damn, he stole 52 bases in 90 something, so all that stuff, that information, my girlfriend gets mad at me. I can't remember anything, right? I can't remember what to get at the grocery store. I can't remember what I ordered yesterday. I can't remember what I cleaned up or what I put away, but I can remember a stat and I can remember something that happened in sports. It's just the most random stuff. Stadium names, arena names. So I think that kind of blew some people away to where some people's like, man, Bonta's Googling, but we're on Zoom. My hands are up, man. I'm like, I take pride in that stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? Nobody wants to be, I'll cheat on a math test, but I'm not cheating on a sports Shotpretty.
Well, it's interesting too, because I mean, I basically, I was going to ask you this question because I actually stumped Steinmetz with this trivia question. And I figured he would have got it because when it comes to basketball, he's the guy. He knows a lot about stats, but I'll give you a chance at it. I'll give you a crack at it.
Right.
So the question is, which player in the NBA, came in his rookie and his second season and won back-to-back titles?
Rookie in second season and won back-to-back NBA championships. Rookie in second season. I'm not going to say Patrick McCaw because I'm guessing you're leaning towards a star. You're leaning towards a star because I could easily say Patrick McCaw because he won 3 straight championships.
He didn't really contribute to anything.
Right, exactly. Because I somebody said this before, and I guessed Patrick McCaw. I was like, that's Patrick McCaw. Man, first 2 years, championships, first 2 seasons, first and second year. Wow, that's a tough question. That is a really tough question. If I had to guess, it'd be Bill Russell.
No. Actually, he didn't do it. He didn't do it back to back his first 2 seasons.
Bob Cousy?
No.
Havlicek?
No.
See, I would guess all Celtics. I would go all Celtics.
Okay. Well, see, the problem with your answer with those, and even though you're at the right, area, is that none of those guys came in their first season won and then won the next season. See, that's the problem.
Interesting.
That's a problem.
Interesting.
So
interesting. Sam Jones?
No, I'll give you a chance. I'll give you a hint. He played at Houston.
Played in Houston. Was it Rick Barry?
No.
Because he played in Houston. Was it Moses Malone?
No.
Oh, Sam Cassell.
You got it.
Florida State. Sam Cassell.
Sam Cassell.
That's right. That's right.
That's a very noted stat too, because that's rare that you see that happen. You don't come in your first season and win and then win the next season. That's incredible.
And you know what? And Sam Cassell was big for replacing Kenny Smith. When Kenny Smith was off, it was Sam Cassell. Sam Cassell would come in and get buckets, posting guys up. That's damn. I always forget about Sam Cassell.
Yeah.
And it because it happened so early in his career.
Yeah.
And by the time it ended, it was like he was on that Celtics team and he's on the bench. But people forget Sam Cassell and Robert Ory and Otis Thorpe was on that first. Right. Robert Ory was clutch on those teams and Otis Thorpe the first year around.
I mean, I tell you something, and I remember that year I told a friend of mine and he was going with I forgot who they played that year, but I told him, I said, dude, you're not going to stop Houston. I'm sorry, the way what they got right now,
right?
Shooting clutches is like, no, that's not going to happen. So let me ask you now. Now you also wrote for the Examiner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many years did you write for them?
Man, I wrote for the Examiner. I was a freelancer for off and on for about 8-9 years, and that's what's so funny about this radio gig, Rich, is that I wanted to be a beat writer. I came into the game. I went back to school at the age of 26, and I ended up going back to City College in San Francisco once I left my job at UPS in management. And actually, they fired me, Rich. They fired me. They got rid of me. They got rid of me for doing something. I was supervising people twice my age, and they were bitter. I was a youngster, was cocky, was slag. I come in wearing the Jordans and whatnot. So I got fired, and I ended up working at a coffee shop. And I ended up going back to school. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give school one last crack. And I got a broadcasting book and a sports journalism book that got sent to me. And I walked into the journalism department going back to City College. And it was like, hey, I would like to write for the paper. They're like, what experience do you have? And I said, well, I took a broadcasting class like 5 years ago. And I was like, all right, for sure. 4 months later, Rich, I win this award at this journalism convention. It was in California. It's a JACC or something like that. It was junior college journalism convention where you got all these journalism majors in junior college. We go convene in LA, Sacramento 1 year, LA 1 year. So I won this award. I come in like the top 5 for on the spot game story. I had no idea what I was doing. I just muscle memory of just reading a newspaper. It's like, all right, I think this is how you write a story. Mm-hmm. So I became a sports editor. And so I was writing. I started writing high school sports, odd jobs with the Examiner. They got a link to me with some of the high school stories. So I started pitching them. Hey, City College of San Francisco has this great basketball team, one of the best junior college basketball teams in the nation. And so I was doing their PA announcer. So I became their PA announcer and / beat writer, right? I went in the stories to the Examiner, and they were like, man, this is good stuff, man. Keep sending it. They won a state championship, and they had some players like DeLon Wright. He had went there. He had attended City College of San Francisco now with the Dallas Mavericks. D.N. Parker, who's a city kid, Lincoln High School, went to UCLA, left with the USF, then ended up graduating at a D3 in San Diego. So they have some really good talent. That gave me that foot in the door with the Examiner. And what's this high school website I was writing for at the same time called San Fran Preps. We cover every high school in San Francisco, whether it's volleyball, soccer, basketball, football, the private schools, the big Catholic schools, the public schools. And so that gave me a forum to write. And, I'll make a chump change, right? I'm making like $20 an article, $25 an article, but I'm doing it for the love of it. And so the Examiner started giving me odd jobs, hey, go cover this NASCAR presser. Hey, go cover this IndyCar presser. Hey, you want to go cover a Cal game? Oh, you want to go to the Pac-12 tournament? We got a credential for you in Vegas. And it was like, boom. And so radio, I just got an internship, a promo internship while I was at SF State. And the rest is history. I still wanted to be a writer. Like that was my thing. And the radio thing just I kind of fell into it. And once I was at State, Rich, I took a radio class and had my own radio show. And it was kind of formatted like it is now. I had a girl, I had another guy that was running the board. I was doing my thing. And we just started making history, man. I started falling into this radio game.
I tell you something, I did the same thing. The only thing I didn't do is I didn't get a chance to go to school in it, but I started totally grassroots. I was working for a station called FCC Free Radio. Mm-hmm. And at first it started off as a blog. Mm-hmm. Okay. And it was called allbarriersports.com radio. And it started off as a blog, there's allbarriersports.com. I did about 146 articles. Mm-hmm. Okay, just writing. But then eventually somebody said, well, look, you need to come over. We got this spot over on the radio. We got nobody doing sports.
Right.
So I went and did that. I did that for about close to 3 years. And then, I just so happened I ran into Shu. You know what I mean? And we got to talking. And before you know it, she was like, oh, what are you doing? So I told him I was doing it. And he saw we had a full studio and everything. And he came and he was like, yeah, you know what? This could work. So we did that. But then COVID came in, and like you said, it shut everything down. We couldn't. Yeah. So then we ended up doing this, but I will say this thing. I wanted to get into the Niner game, okay, because what happened last night was just something that I think Niner fans have been waiting for, and it's kind of hard to say because this is a team that was the NFC champion, last year, but it's been a rocky start. They've had to deal with a lot of injuries, and everybody's waiting for that game that's called the resurgence game that brings this team back to life. What did you think about this game?
I thought it was they got back to their identity, and they had to have a game, right? It's a division game. You hadn't won a game at home yet. You were 0-3 at home, which is wild, right? And I'm not saying Levi's is this great home field advantage, but teams usually protect their home turf. This was a had to have a game, and they got back to their identity, which was in 2019, which is controlling the football, running physical, and making timely throws on third down. And that's what Jimmy Garoppolo did last night. He made timely throws on third down. They ran the ball really well, and it stayed away from like the 3rd and 8, the 3rd and 9, the 3rd and 11, the 3rd and 12. And defensively, I think that's where they won the game. Look, they bent a lot in that second half. They bent a lot, which is to be expected when you have a patchwork defensive line and a patchwork defense. But Saleh did a great job, man, at neutralizing the Rams, and they got Goff, which is surprising that Goff had such a bad game because it wasn't like the pass rush was there, right? He had time to throw. He had clean pockets. But I thought in the secondary, Tart, Ward, Jason Verrett, with the interception, who's played phenomenal since he's been healthy, and Emmanuel Mosley, I thought that's where the game was won. And of course, Fred Warner Jr. cleaned everything up and, from 5 to 10 yards out. So I thought defensively they played a really sound ball game, tackled well. Offensively, there's still some work to be done. But I do like the fact that Debo's getting more involved. Kittle's more involved. That shows me that those two guys are healthy, and they're the most important pieces on top of Raheem Mostert. We'll get to that in a second on this offense. But I thought it was a step in the right direction where you had to beat a team, you had to win a must-win game. And look, in the NFC this year, Rich, you may get into the playoffs at 8-8, 9-7 with that extra playoff spot. So just getting into the dance. You get into the dance, you got a chance to make it back to the Super Bowl.
Well, I'll tell you something, because you brought up a really a key situation that a lot of people probably don't really understand. They, like you said, the NFC West is an NFC West where if you got 8-8 or you're 9-7, you can't get in, and people look at that and say, "Oh, well, these guys' records are not that great." So, the teams aren't that great. It's like, well, no. What you need to consider is this: the teams are very, very good, and this is the reason why you have these records. Okay, it's just like you got these guys beating up on each other. But I'll tell you this much: the one thing I have to focus on, and I know a lot of guys aren't focusing on this week, there is just a guy. There is just a guy who plays for the Niners, and I dubbed him the Born Identity, Kendrick Bourne, and I dubbed him that because this guy just continues to be elusive.
Right.
Just like the Born Identity. I mean, he shows up out of nowhere, makes a kid, you're going, and the defense is going, him? Now? Come on, man. Wait a minute. We got George Kittle over here. We got Deebo Samuel. We got this new kid, Brandon, and all of a sudden, Bourne catches the ball, and you're going, why didn't we watch him? It's like, what is it that he's doing that's making him where defense is just not recognizing this guy?
It's the rapport he has with Jimmy Garoppolo. And you saw that when Garoppolo got traded over from New England. Those first 5 games, everybody went crazy. Oh, he went 5-0. But it was that Tennessee Titans game. And I know you remember this back in 2017 because the Titans ended up making the playoffs that year. Jacksonville ended up making the AFC Championship game. So those are two. When people say, oh, he didn't beat nobody, Jimmy G and the Niners didn't beat nobody in those last 5, that's an absolute lie. That's that's a fib. Like, they did beat some good teams. They went to Houston. They beat the Chicago Bears at Soldier Field. But like Tennessee, that game where Kendrick Bourne made a big play on the final drive of that game, and it stuck with me. It was like 30 to 35 yards. He ran a slant. And from that point on, it seems like Jimmy G and Kendrick Bourne have had this, they like making music together, Rich. They're just in sync with each other. And look, he's going to be good to drop a pass a game. You got to live with that. Just like I always say, you got to live with the Jimmy O no throw. You hope it doesn't kill you, right? In the football game, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And yesterday.
When the game is on the line, no, don't do that.
Don't do that one. Oh, no. Yeah, and he did that before halftime yesterday where he almost got picked off before the IU touchdown. It was like, boy, Jimmy.
You biting your nails? Because I was biting mine.
Oh, man, I'm like, oh. Okay. All right. You got away with that one. Let's just burn the tape on that play. You don't need to watch that again.
Let's hurry up and burn that tape.
Exactly. But Kendrick Bourne is a nice piece. He's a nice compliment to Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. And you know what? He's gotten better. He's gotten stronger, more elusive, and he makes plays for this offense. So I do like Kendrick Bourne. And I think this is the best set of weapons Shanahan has had. And I think it's the best set of weapons Jimmy Garoppolo has had to throw to.
Yeah. So we got a few minutes left. My co-host and sidekick, Mike the Shoe Schumann, did want me to tell you he's sorry he couldn't have been here with you today because he likes you a lot. And he was telling me that he said, "Man, you're gonna have Bonta Hill." I said, "Yeah." He says, "Oh man, as much as I want to be there," he says, 7:30, I can't do it. But I tell you, he's been doing this thing, and he gambles. So and this is the thing I tell people all the time. Look, I'm sorry. People say, "Well, Richard, you should put your money where your mouth is. You talk a lot." It's like, yeah, that's true. But I'm not stupid. I got a family to feed, okay? But the thing is that he has been betting,
right? And
the first couple of weeks, he bet against the Niners, and he bet against the Raiders. All right. I was like, wow, really? But this week, what he did?
What did he do?
He bet for the Niners. He did. I went, oh,
wow.
I was like, man, you rascal, dude. Come on, man. How could you do that?
Dude, you know what, Rich? And Shu knows this if he does gamble. A couple years ago, I had a great run when it came to gambling. Last year was up and down, and I shut it down after October because I saw what type of season it was going to be, and not only the NFL, but college football, because I love me some college football. And then this year as well, I'm sitting here thinking, I'm looking because you don't know how teams are going to come out without any preseason games. The unknown with the COVID-19. So I already automatically, I take week 1 off no matter what, just to see, because, it's a lot of teams get amped up. They're at home and, it's the first game of the season. It's their homecoming or whatnot. They're going to go out there and ball out, right? Especially in the NFL. This year, I bet on 2 NFL games. That's it, because it is so unpredictable. I'm in the survivor pool, and I took the Patriots this week. They lose to the Broncos at home. I'm to the Denver Broncos. Are you kidding me? I mean, that's what type of year it is. I mean, the Cardinals are whooping up on the Cowboys. I mean, you just see all over the NFL. It is a mess right now. The Raiders going to beat Kansas City last week. Yeah. I mean, you can't call it, Rich. You really can't call it this year.
I was listening to Al Michaels today on 95.7 The Game.
Yep.
And he was saying that, one of the things this year, and when you look at COVID, you look at all the other things that are going on, he said one of the things that is making the NFL and what it's always been, what makes it dynamic, is the fact that you don't really know exactly what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And he said this year it has taken precedent over everything else. He goes, you watch TV, he goes, more than 90% of the stuff on TV, and he's right, it's scripted, and then there's a laugh track.
Right.
Okay? He said, but with the NFL, he goes, you don't know what you're going to get. Man, it's totally unscripted. You can watch a game and think, well, you know what? This team is the team that's been winning for the last 5 years. So, yeah, I'm going to pick them. And now they come up with a loser. Or, you know what? This team has the most dominant player from last year. You picked them and all of a sudden they lost.
Right.
It's like, you're right. You cannot pick, correctly, even with stats. You're still going, I don't know.
I mean, it's, one of the things in betting, the player props, right? If you look at a game plan, you look at a guy with player prop, maybe you'll win some money there. But Al Michaels is right. You just don't know. I mean, just think about yesterday. Who thought the Falcons were going to go to Minnesota and light up the Vikings after firing their head coach? I mean, nobody saw that coming. Not too many people saw that coming. Chicago going to Carolina, it being 5-1. How many people picked the Packers to beat Tom Brady and the Bucs? And you look up, it's 10-0. You go to the bathroom, next thing you know, it's 14-10, and the Bucs are taking off, winning 38-10. I mean, the NFL, and that's what happened, Rich, once the salary cap was implemented. Once the salary cap was implemented, it took some time, right? It took some time for the parity to sit in. But once we got past the year like 2000, the new NFL, man, it's parity. There's not, like, the Patriots have been there, right? They've been a dominant team. And part of it is they play in the AFC East. And the AFC East has been terrible for so many years, which gives the Patriots an automatic bye week, home field advantage. You got to go through Foxborough. But for the most part, this league, it has been parity. These teams have been even, man. I mean, and it's all about who gets hot at the end of the season. Like last year, Tennessee got hot, and they made a run at it. Kansas City got hot. Did we really think Kansas City with that defense was going to advance to the Super Bowl and win it? A lot of people didn't think so, man. A lot of people thought so a lot of people was on a Baltimore trade and they lose their first playoff game. The Chargers, as bad as the Chargers are record-wise, they could flip that. There's 3 games they should have won. They should have beat the Chiefs. They should have beat the Saints.
I just think about the Chargers. That is a team. If I'm in the AFC West, I'd be a little nervous because that kid they got, Justin Herbert.
Oh my Lord. Yeah, he's a problem. He's a problem. He's a problem. Yeah. No, Rich. I didn't think he was going to be that good coming out of Oregon. I really didn't. Watch a lot of Pac-12 football, like I know you do. I was like, he's all right. No, that dude's he's legit.
Yeah, he is legit. He's the real deal. So we look at what's going on in San Francisco, and we look at Kyle Shanahan, and we look at his offense and the team as a whole, where they're at right now. A lot of people would think, well, you know what? They may go 6-10, they may go 9-7, but this is my assessment. And correct me if this sounds right or doesn't sound right. If I'm Kyle Shanahan, should my game plan be just to focus on winning the division first? Because, I mean, you look at everything that's going on with the San Francisco 49ers, with the NFC West, and you look at the opponents that are coming in from not in that division, you know that, hey, if you're going to try anything, okay, and the first step obviously is to get to the playoffs. Well, if you're going to get to the playoffs, then obviously you got to win the NFC West, or at least be the second number 2 contender. So do you think the game plan to initiate, or I should say recapture The NFC West is the ultimate goal.
Yeah, no doubt. It's still in play too. You got to start to win your division until you see the exit gets your name that says eliminated from winning the division title or eliminated from the playoff race. You got to go win a division. That's the goal. That's the easiest way, obviously, to get into the playoffs. You're not fighting with other wild card teams and worried about tiebreakers or who's got the best opponent's record percentage and all that crap. Win the division. And you know what? For the Niners, look, I know Seattle's undefeated. I know the Niners already had 3 losses. They play Seattle twice. All right. Beat Seattle twice. Seattle's going to slip up somewhere. They still have to play. They still have to play the Rams. And Seattle's defense is not very good.
They're not that good.
They're not very. I mean, come on. Mike Zimmer kicked the damn field goal on Sunday Night Football. What are you doing? You go for it and let Russ go 94 yards down the football field. So the division is the goal. And I think Shanahan, what he's looking at too, said, okay, we're 500. We got a good win against the Rams. Now we got the Patriots. All right. All of a sudden, they don't look good, but you know Belichick's going to do everything he can to take away George Kittle and make Jimmy G go elsewhere with the football. You got the Saints. You got the Packers on Thursday night. All of a sudden, the Packers got softened up. You got the Buffalo Bills on Monday Night Football. You got to take each game as your own Super Bowl. You got to go at it each week. It just, hey, we're 0-0 this week. And we just got to win football games. And by the time you get to December, okay, where are we at now? Where are we at now? Do we have a shot to run the table and win this division? And so I think that's the game plan for Shanahan moving forward is, yes, NFC West is always a goal. That's always a number one goal. But then with all the injuries, Mostert's going to be out for a while. Your backup center, Ben Garland's hurt. Trent Williams is dealing with an ankle injury. I mean, what the hell is going on in Santa Clara? You got to take each week as its own Super Bowl, man, and take this thing week by week.
Yeah, I'll tell you something. We have the great Bonta Hill, from 95.7 The Game, former writer for the Examiner in San Francisco, grew up in San Francisco, and I actually was raised in San Francisco myself. I came up out of Lakeview, so
okay.
But I will say this much: it has been a pleasure having you on. I've had the privilege of interviewing both you and Guru now.
Right.
Steinmetz said he would do it, but he did not step up.
He been flaking on you, huh? Sounds like Steinmetz.
Well, this is the thing. When you're Steinmetz, I get it. A little rinky-dink show like mine, it's like, yeah, but
don't sell yourself short, Rich.
but listen, Bonta, I do appreciate having you on today. It was a pleasure having you on, and it's a privilege. Mike Schumer want me to let you know we do want to have you back on the show again. Okay, because like I said, I have fun with you. So, thank you again for being on with us. This is GameFace. I am Richard Perez Ewing with my good friend Bonta Hill from 95.7 The Game. We do this on the Bleav Talent Network. And the only thing I can tell you is this, son, when you come on, you better have your GameFace on.